Hi, I'm Amy. I'm here with Stephen Barnes to talk about his book, Run Your Business Better. The first question that I have for you is, how did your passion for helping organisations and businesses begin?
It started when I was here at university. I was doing a finance and accounting degree, and a lot of people had businesses and were struggling, and that friends and family, and they got me involved in asking them, so that grew into a business. And then what happened, I then went and worked in a corporate environment. A lot of that sort of work was around processes and systems and operational improvement. So I did that for about 10 years and then went back into consulting into a CA firm, and then left the CA firm after doing some consulting, then started my own practice.
What are the most common issues that businesses face today?
Blaming their environment or their situation. So they say that the retail market is in a depression, or the mining industry's fallen to bits, or the manufacturing industry. But that's really environmental things. And the third reason is around lack of business skills and understanding their business. So they'll blame things like cash flow, but they're all excuses. The main thing that I'd say to people is that you need to spend more time working on your business rather than in your business.
Where do you see university education as a tool to better enable businesses to be successful?
Well, I think you come to university, you learn technical skills, which I think is really important. But I think probably what I got more out of university was it did two things. It opened me up to listening and learning about other people and other ideas and how people operate. So it wasn't quite as myopic as just learning how to do financial ratios and how to do finance equations. It was more about the other skills that came along with it. And I think you need to broaden your aspect a little bit about life and that. And I think that university gives you that opportunity to, without the barriers, to go and explore.
In your opinion, what role do you think ICT plays in businesses?
I think it's vitally important in the sense that when I came to university, the first thing I did was had to do an assignment using punch cards on a computer. And then now Professor David Lont was my tutor, and he asked me to write a two-page précis on the random walk theory, but I had to type it up and present it as a typewritten paper, and we were using WordPress, which was something people used before Word, and 10 years ago we didn't have iPhones. So I think that what it shows is that technology is changing very fast. So for businesses to grow, they've got to understand that technology is moving very fast. I don't think it changes the problems. So you actually have to then work out how to use that fast-moving technology to leverage off it to grow your business.
Governance and board accountability is being increasingly targeted as a mechanism. What, in your opinion, are critical factors to effectively monitor this?
The whole board governance is around monitoring, analysing, and putting in place structures around policies about how you run your business. So, but the key thing and the key anchor for me, I suppose, with governance is around the board and the people in charge of the organisation understanding the purpose of the organisation. I think that's the main thing around governance and monitoring. So if you can understand and have a good idea about the structure and the strategy of the organisation and how they interplay, I mean, that's important. The second part of governance is around culture. Back in the early 2000s, ANZ put a program in place called Breakout, which was a cultural reform project at ANZ, and that made a huge amount of difference. And so culture starts at the top, and that's part of governance, and that flows down. And what you saw at ANZ in the 3 or 4 years that they had the Breakout program in place was that culture changed from the top down, and it permeated all the way through the organisations right out to the customers. So the customer satisfaction and the staff satisfaction levels changed. So I think working on culture is vitally important for governance as well.
What do you think defines a successful business?
I think success is a personal thing. So what your success and my success can be completely opposite. There's many reasons why people are in business. Every business is a family business. Every business impacts everybody else in your life and everything else in your life. So it really depends on what you want to get out of life. If you think that going into business is just about making money, then you've missed the mark. When you answer the phone on a Saturday afternoon, when you own your own business, it impacts somebody else. So you have to understand that it always has an impact. So you need to decide what's most important for you. Years ago, I got cleaners to clean every fortnight to come to my house. It's about opportunity cost. What was I prepared to give up, and what was I not prepared to give up?
Your new book, Run Your Business Better, aims to help businesses and show them how to grow, and at the same time allow owners to realign their lives outside their businesses. What criteria are critical to finding a balance between business and life outside of the firm?
As I said a minute ago, every business is a family business. So I think that's the first key thing. Understand that every business is a family business. And another part of that is that once you understand that, you can also need to understand that, especially for sole traders, that you can be a really good plumber, but doesn't mean you know much about how to run a business. So when we look at a business, you need to sit there and say, do I have all the necessary skills, and how do I get that? So that's, and then if you can systemize that and put a process in place to fill those gaps, then you'll have a successful business.
What experiences should current Otago students seek that will help to enhance their employability after graduating?
When I employ people, you come to university obviously to get technical skills, but I'd say that when I employ someone, 20% is based on technical ability and 80% is built on other fit, if you like. How will they fit in the organisation or the team that I'm employing into? So yes, it's vitally important that you come and you get the academic education, but I would look at how you're going to go and what sort of jobs that you want to get. A good example was one day when I was working as a trader at ANZ, I had the Otago University Careers Advisor come to the trading room, and she walked into the trading room, and when she walked in she said, I suppose everyone here's got a commerce degree. I said, well, no, they don't. And I showed her where the sales team was, and I said, well, if you can sell a pair of shoes, you can sell foreign exchange. It's just a different product. The skill that they were looking for on that team was around selling ability, relationship building. And then I pointed to the spot desk, and they were people that needed to be able to make a fast decision on the spot and then move on. So that was the attribute that was more key to them than understanding foreign exchange. And then you had the derivatives trading desk, and they were, the way I describe them, as like strategists or chess players. So they were sitting there working out moves 7 or 8, 9 moves ahead, what was going to happen and how things were going to interact down the track, and then putting their book in place to monitor that. So we had people that were milkmen, ex-army, geologists, all sorts of people. So again, I'd sit there and say, look at what you want to do, then what the skills that are applicable for that. The academic part is only one part of it. The other part was with a graduate program that I ran 1 year. What I found was that, or they were told by the then CEO, that every graduate would become a senior manager within 5 years. But what he didn't tell them was that every senior manager also was a graduate. So just because you've got a degree, that's just a part of it. It does, but you have to remember that you're lining up against other people with a degree as well. So what makes you different? Find those skills that are applicable to that job.
From your experience, what individual owner qualities encourage business success?
I think the key thing for me that makes a difference between a successful business owner and non is one that understands that you need to work on your business rather than in your business. And what I mean by that is you may have really good technical skills, but you need to spend the time working on it. If you were to break your job down into a role of a worker, a manager, a director and an owner, and then work out how much time you spent on each of those, and then work out how much you get paid, are you paying yourself and working more as a worker or as an owner? And if you're working as a worker, you haven't created a business, you've created a job. So you need to spend your time working like an owner and what an owner does.
How have you managed some of the more difficult decisions concerning your consulting role?
Well, I think The main difficult decision I usually have is when I go to exit a client. So I take my clients very personally. I find that they're like your family, your baby. So I have to try and exit, and I have to do it cleanly. And that's really hard because becomes really personal to you. So I find that the hardest part. So and behind every business as well, there was an article in a paper in Australia just quite recently where a lady from the TV show The Project was asked about her work-life balance, and she said she finds it really hard to juggle her business job and her home job. And the interviewer said his wife said to him that why is it easier to say no to your family than to a client or a customer? And that's a really good point. So that's the other bit that I find hard is saying no to a client rather than to my family.
And finally, what have been the highlights of your career?
I think I've had quite a few different highlights. I really enjoyed doing a turnaround of a publicly listed steel company and then doing a divestment of the distribution business. So it was multinational public company losing lots of money. The staff became like family. They were very passionate about it. They just had a horrible way of running the business. Another, experience that I really enjoyed was I worked for a family of billionaires and doing a restructure. And that was a lot of fun. So I ran the Australian companies and for a number of years, and that was pretty fun. It was like, I call it my Forrest Gump box of chocolates job. I never knew what was going to happen. And sort of the third job was as a trader at ANZ. I really enjoyed the challenge of that. So I was an Asian currency trader during the Asian crisis in the late 90s. I put together the euro for ANZ, how we priced the euro on inception, and did the first euro cross-currency swap. So, those sort of little designed some new products, financial products for ANZ, and traded those for them. So that was kind of fun. I enjoyed doing those sort of things.
Thank you so much for taking the time to answer our questions today. I really enjoyed talking with you.
It's very welcome, Amy. Thanks, and good luck with your studies.
Thanks.